I'm Pony, and I am a part of the student organizing team. I'm from Moorhead, Minnesota, and today I am going to be moderating this panel. I'm so happy to be hosting this panel today as part of Sex Ed for All Month with Advocates for Youth. Advocates is an organization that works to ensure young people's sexual and reproductive health and rights, and I'm proud to be an activist with them. Throughout Sex Ed for All Month, Advocates is sharing youth-led sex ed, young people giving each other the answers schools didn't give them. Too many of us didn't learn what we need to learn about sex, sexuality, consent, LGBTQ issues, HIV, healthy relationships, and so much more. So today we're here to talk about how to advocate for a better sex ed. Can you talk about your work trying to change sex ed? Because I know you all are doing amazing work out there. So can you just share a little bit about that? Alan.
Okay. I was like, okay. Well, with the Nevada Youth Activist Alliance, I think the most significant work was so Courtney and Jesse and I are part of NYAA. That's the acronym that we call it because it's much easier to say. I know that this past April 2019, we all went to Carson City in Nevada. So that's our state capital. And so one of the bills that we were focusing on was a sex education bill. And I forgot the name. I think it was AB 295. I can't remember exactly the bill number, but we were there because of the fact that it was a more comprehensive sex education bill versus in Nevada, we have more abstinence-based only. Hearing from our experiences, you just know that it's not it. And so we were there the entire day focusing on multiple bills, including cash bail, sex ed, immigration, a lot of them. But for me, my personal focus was mostly on the cash bail and the sex education.
The past 2 years, 2017, 2019, I was actually the Nevada Youth legislator for my Senate district here in Nevada. And so my bill, we were all given our own way of creating a bill draft request. And so mine was focused on so my bill draft request was focused on a new sex ed curriculum that was inclusive and talks about different genders and sexual orientations. And so even though it wasn't chosen by the Nevada legislature as a whole, I still went to Carson City twice, one as a youth legislator, and which I lobbied for bills that were more of criminal justice, but I also did lobby for the bill as soon as I heard it that would change sex ed curriculum from abstinence to a more comprehensive one. And so that's kind of what I lobbied for twice in Carson City, both with the NYAA and the Nevada Youth legislator. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's all super cool work. I have done most of my sex ed work at more of a local county level. So I myself am a sex educator, so I go to all the schools in my county. We teach Contra, we teach LGBTQ. It's really cool, it's really fun. But in terms of changing sex ed, I am part of my school's sex ed advisory board, which is how things work in Michigan. It's different from state to state, but basically the sex ed advisory board decides the curriculum, approves the curriculum, reviews the curriculum. And so with my school sex ed advisory board, we were able to just completely change the middle school curriculum for my school. And so I just helped write and review and then eventually teach that curriculum to the middle schoolers, which was really cool.
Nevada Youth Activist Alliance is honestly a really awesome, group to be with. It's youth-led, it's cross-issues centered, and we were able to go up there and not only lobby on sex ed, but on a lot of different issues. So our lobbying on sex ed was a little bit difficult because these people in our legislature are so worried about the other side. Parents and people that may be religious, and they were so worried about that they couldn't even take the time to look at the people that were being affected by the lack of sex education. And so we were trying to change that narrative when we went up there, and we just went to people's offices and we were doing post-it notes, and we were just trying to create some type of amplifying voice, for the people that weren't there with us that day.
And I feel like a lot of times if we're looking radically, like our sexual education impacts so much of everything else in our life. Like you're talking about consent. Well, if someone was never taught to understand consent, how do they know how to ask for it? How do they know how to receive it? And so that's what I kind of was like, okay, I want to reteach everyone coming into college, and then try to kind of push it off as something that will go into high schools and middle schools and things like that. And so I got the great opportunity to work with Planned Parenthood and teach youths between ages 14 to like 24 about sexual education this past year. And my school, like, we ended up doing it where it kind of became a thing where they're going to carry it out even though I'm graduating. And so I'm really excited for that. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Well, me and yes, for joining in the panel today, and taking time out of your day to kind of talk about sex ed and talk about all the amazing work you're doing. I thank you all so much for what you're doing in your communities. Meanwhile, make sure to follow #SexEdForAll for more information, resources, and some youth-led sex ed throughout the month. And visit Advocates for Youth's website, advocatesforyouth.org, and Twitter for Advocates Tweets to sign up for updates. Thank you all so much for being here and sharing your experiences. And thank you all for viewing. I hope that you learned something from this. Bye.